It is round three of the DC K.O tournament. Let's talk about that in this video. Hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Tissue Podcast. On today's video, we're going to be doing a review and a deep dive of DC K.O number three. Now, the first part of this video will be spoiler free. We'll take a look at all the covers, and after coming back from that, I will dive into everything that just happened in chapter three. No mercy. This book is written by Scott Snyder with an interlude by Joshua Williamson, Javi Fernandez on the main art, with interludes by Hermanico, Alejandro Sanchez on colors, Hassan Otsman and Elha on letters. We have a main cover by Javi Fernandez, but we'll take a look at some more. Wow. Well, let me tell you, this one was intense. So let's read the synopsis and we'll get into it. The Elite Eight remain, and all hell's gonna break loose. It's tag team time as the Omega tournament reaches its end game. The final eight combatants are put to the ultimate test, confronted with a decades-long stay in their own personal hell. Emotions run high as the heroes falter, villains revel, and the heart of Apocalypse eyes its new King Omega. In the end, only the final four will remain, so stay tuned for that. We'll talk about everything going down in this tournament. Yeah, this is continues to be just so much fun. The way that the story is unfolding, we continue to have these little interludes, right? Which really give us a little bit of insight into what the characters are thinking. This is still a very Superman centric story. But ultimately, I think that's kind of a misdirect as to where things are going. Superman is obviously a very cool and a lot of fun, a really fun character to focus things around because he allows everyone else to have a lot more freedom to do so many crazy things, and a lot of crazy things happen. So I really think it's a very smart way to kind of ground this story with Superman while everything else happens, and every like all the craziness that ensues. And you'll see some of the preview images that were put out publicly. We'll have more images once we get to the spoiler part. But yeah, overall, this is incredible. I think Javi Fernandez is doing some career best work. So many characters, so many different scenarios, so many different things. Like the way that these characters continue to evolve is incredible. So I really like it. And then Hermanico in those interludes, just keeping those same vibes. I love the idea of this just being a tournament that really brings the best and the worst of a lot of these characters. They understand that the stakes are high, and they want to make sure that not only do they win, but also that they survive, which I think is the main thing. You can win the fight, but you have to survive all the way to the end. Uh, Also, we have a very cool framing device of these. The Heart of Apocalypse begins to show the contestants what would things be like if they won. It almost reminds me a little bit of that idyllic world that the Black Mercy creates in the Superman Annual by Alan Moore. For the man who is everything, where he is tempted by happiness. This also is reflected a little bit in last week's Night Fight number three, where Bruce is also tempted by happiness in that idyllic image of the world. It's very interesting stuff. I really love it. This is one event that is absolutely out of control. We know that there's that big crossover with some other properties, including some characters from movies, from other comic publishers, and we'll cover that when we get there. But this Elite Eight remains one of the best tournaments and one of the best fights that I've seen. It's really interesting the way that these characters team up because they get to pick a tag team champion. So overall, you end up using 16 people fighting once again, but half of those are being called in. So who would want to work with some of these characters, some of these villains? I almost gave away, not a spoiler, but you can probably tell based on the cover who still remains in the tournament. So yeah, this is interesting. And then to close it all off with a nice seal, we get a really cool reveal at the end of this. It is incredible stuff. Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you before going into spoilers. So how about we take a look at those covers and then we'll go beat by beat into what happened in this issue. Okay, so of course we have, this is the main cover by Javi Fernandez. This is what you would see once you open the cover. So the main cover actually looks like this, where you can see the die cutout, and behind that is the cover that you were seeing earlier, which I really love. I love a really nice cover like that. So next we have this Dane Warren Johnson cover of Harley Quinn beating up on Lobo. Of course, it's wrestling theme. And as you can see, this looks to be, if not a death match, at least a very hardcore match because there's thumbtacks all over the ground. Um, we have this Omega variant by Micah Del Mundo for Joker, maybe Emperor Joker, at the end of this. We also have this amazing, amazing cover by Carla Cohen. Zatanna, who wouldn't want to see another beautiful cover by Zatanna? One of my favorite characters in the tournament, really. Lucio Perillo gives us this armored Wonder Woman variant, which is incredible. I love the way that the armor looks. And then, of course, that gigantic weapon that Diana is wielding. A very cool Sanford Green. I believe this is a wraparound cover. But it is Darkseid with his Darkseid Legion, and then of course some other characters that you might have seen in some of the things. We have the Dan Mora bracket cover, so I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler of who's left, but I think you probably would have put some of that stuff together. But yeah, I love Dan Mora has been doing some incredible stuff for DC over the past few years, and every time it's really hard to go to the shop and not pick up every cover for this. Ben Oliver gives us this face-off variant with Lobo, the main man, who is about to have an excellent year, debuting in live action film, not live action. He's been in live action stuff before, but this will be his first time, I believe, in a film. We have the AEW cameo variant, Will Ospreay doing a really cool move. I forget the name of it. I guess I don't know exactly what he's about to do. But Dan Mora, once again, doing incredible stuff here with all these AEW covers. I might go hunt these down. I definitely want the Tony Storm. I definitely want this one. I think there's a Swerve Strickland one as well. And then this is, like I said, this will be the foil variant of the original one, the behind the die cut. And then last but definitely not least, a 1 in 25 Cully Hamner cover of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman fighting off what looks to be like parademons, or at least some kind of demons. So yeah, this is great. So, all right, we are about to get into big spoilers. So make sure that you have read the book if you want to continue. But if you're dropping off, thank you for watching, and come back and finish the rest of the video and let me know your thoughts in the comments. So here we go. We begin with, as I mentioned, the Heart of Apocalypse, showing Superman visions of what he would do were he to win the tournament, only to rip it apart from him, rip it away from him. And then we get all the remaining contestants, which are Cyborg, Wonder Woman, the Joker. We saw Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern, Aquaman, Zatanna, and of course Superman. Those are the remaining, but they won't just fight amongst themselves. This is a tag team round, so they get to call in reinforcements from previous tournaments from anywhere in the world, really. But the Jokers is a mystery. We have Guy Gardner teaming up with Hal Jordan and Team Green Lantern, facing off against Superman and Shazam. Lex Luthor calls in Supergirl, Kara Zor-El, and she doesn't really have a choice to take on Aquaman, who calls in Hawkman, who he knows is a brave warrior that will be able to defeat him. Wonder Woman calls in the big guns in Big Barda, because of course, who else can help you in Apocalypse other than somebody that was brought up as a Fury there? Cyborg calls in Connor Hawk for his fighting prowess, so they both co-enhance each other in a very cool way. Zatanna brings in John Constantine because this is going to be somewhere where she needs all the magic. And as I mentioned, Joker's Joker's tag team is a mystery for now. So yeah, very cool fight. We begin seeing some of these fights, and of course, at first, Luthor's like, "Yeah, I'm not." Go get him, Supergirl. And Supergirl's like, "I don't think so, buddy. You're screwed." One of the biggest surprises here is that when the Joker reveals his original partner, we get a little misdirect because we see the Batman Who Laughs. And of course, Scott Snyder was going to bring in one of his creation. He invented that guy, and it's one of the cruelest things. But it turns out that this was a misdirect. It was actually Mr. Mixleplick. I don't know if that's exactly how you say it. I hear it different ways. But we get a really cool callback to Emperor Joker in that storyline. So now it is the fifth dimension magic versus Satana and Constantine magic. Unfortunately, that's not going to go very well for them. Yeah, Wonder Woman and Big Barda have to take on Cyborg and Connor Hawk. And like I said, this is probably the fairest fight when it comes to them just going very straight against each other. There's not a lot of shenanigans, but yeah, it's hard to beat Wonder Woman. There's just no way. They do this really cool combo. Big Barda punches the bracelets of Wonder Woman. Big sonic waves come out. You'll see some of those images across. But yeah, I think a lot of these characters that come back from the dead, because they are dead, I guess, feels like they were brought in against their will, and it kind of sucks. Especially, like I said, Kara Sorrell, she starts teaming up with Lex Luthor, but then he blasts her with red kryptonite, which makes her rage. And then we get an interlude of Lois and Clark back in Smallville, thinking about that idyllic life, thinking about everything that he could do if he were to win, because it is revealed that the Green Lanterns created an avatar of the Black Mercy to put on him. So Green Lanterns are not playing around, even with Superman. Kara is affected by more than green kryptonite. He put in there some silver and some black kryptonite to make her disassociate, to make her enlarge, pretty much to have her Hulk out. He calls it designer kryptonite. Yeah, Billy ends up finally going away after Superman and him defeat the Lanterns. But before that, Superman gets the powers of Shazam. It's very cool. I love this idea that Superman is kind of learning how to play the game, and he understands that he's going to have to make some compromises. We have the final four. This is the big spoiler of the issue. So if you're still here, we have the Joker advancing. We have Lex Luthor advancing. We have Wonder Woman and Superman going on to this next round. And this is the biggest spoiler of them all, because not only is Booster Gold here, who we've seen all throughout has been taken over by Darkseid, but he has brought in the Absolute Warriors. Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, and Absolute Wonder Woman show up, but they are twisted versions by Darkseid to take on in the next round. Trial by the Absolute Universe. It is an incredible way to end this issue, and I'm so excited to see where we go from here. You guys know I'm a big fan of the Absolute Universe, so seeing those characters here finally take on their counterparts, I mean, except Batman, I guess. But yeah, taking on the counterparts from a different universe. And then also what's going to happen to Booster Gold. He's a character that I really enjoy. But right now he's being taken over by Darkseid. He's not himself. Yeah, this is an incredible issue. So let me know, what did you think about this issue? What did you enjoy the most? What was your favorite cameo, your favorite tag team, your favorite move? And then what do you think is going to happen once the Absolute World gets involved in this fight? Let me know who the winner is going to be. We are down to 4. And also remember, Batman's still fighting the good fight in the Night Fight book. We don't know how that's going to end. So, as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And stay tuned, because we have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.